Why do we need to receive blessings? So Geshe explains when he gives us his definition of enlightenment, really about how the function of a Buddha is to give blessings. So he says, enlightenment, I think many of you know this definition, enlightenment is the inner light of wisdom that is permanently free from mistaken appearance. So that part of the definition, enlightenment is the inner light of wisdom that is permanently free from mistaken appearance. That's explaining the nature of enlightenment. And then the second part is explaining the function. So enlightenment is the inner light of wisdom that is permanently free from mistaken appearance and functions to bestow mental peace on each and every living being every day. And functions to bestow mental peace on each and every living being every day. So that's the function of an enlightened being's mind, is to bestow mental peace on each and every living being every day. Every day here actually means all the time. It doesn't mean, once a day. So we can understand the function of an enlightened being precisely by understanding the nature. So it's the inner light of wisdom, basically means a mind. A mind of wisdom, a mind that is understanding things correctly. And it's the inner light, which is actually essentially referencing the very subtle mind. So we have a very subtle mind. We all have a very subtle mind. As Venerable Geshe explains, our very subtle mind is actually our Buddha nature. In other words, we have within us, all of us, because we have a very subtle mind, we have within us the potential to achieve enlightenment. The difference between us and an enlightened being, we both have very subtle mind, but unfortunately our very subtle mind is obstructed. It's obstructed by the obstructions to liberation and the obstructions to omniscience, which basically means it's obstructed by the delusions, self-grasping ignorance, self-cherishing, anger, jealousy, greed, so forth. It's obstructed by those, and then also obstructed by the imprints of those delusions. So because we've had those delusions in our mental continuum for so long, they have like an imprint, like a stain left behind, and the function of that stain is essentially to give rise to what's called mistaken appearance. So mistaken appearance is unfortunately something that, because we have these obstructions, you and I are subject to all the time. We are always, literally always, under the influence of mistaken appearance, which means that everything that we see is appearing to us in a way in which it doesn't actually exist. Yikes. Everything is appearing to us in a way in which it doesn't actually exist. Everything is appearing as if it were outside of the mind, or we can say independent of the mind. So we're constantly experiencing things in a dualistic way. We feel, I am over here and the world is out there, and there's a sense of separation. Right now, you are looking at me. You feel your mind is inside, looking out at a temple and a teacher and so forth, outside of your mind, separate from you. And that is mistaken. I am not outside of your mind. I am not independent of your mind. And we can understand that. Of course, we've had teachings on emptiness, and we're going to hear more about that. We can understand that intellectually. Not that difficult. It's not that difficult for us to understand that each one of you is perceiving me uniquely. You're looking at your version of me. You are experiencing me subjectively. You're having your subjective experience of me, each one. We're assuming and we're relating to, in this case, me, as if I were objectively existing outside. But in truth, each one of you is just simply perceiving your own version of me, which is not me. I've got my subjective version of me, which is also not me.